like a very good explanation.
I also think added to that, also valor, I think, is also inspirational courage. It's like courage with leadership that inspires others to follow your example and plunge headlong into danger for a cause or whatever.
Take the others with you.
Yeah. Moving on to company.
Courage can be a very, very personal thing. Courage can be you're faced with a sickness that may kill you. It's something you're afraid of, and that can kill you and you may die of. Courage is turning around and saying, I will not, and fighting that. That is not valor, because you have no great skill in that. That is courage. Courage is facing something that you are very, very afraid of. And still turning around and going, I'm afraid of this, and knowing that you're afraid, and accepting that you're afraid, and doing it anyway. Courage can be standing up there.
I'm not in favour of this. Filthy. This one can go right into the one you can show. What is filthy? Bruce?
Are you giving Bruce's definition of filthy?
I think that's quite good. Filthy is actually promising loyalty, okay? You're literally promising loyalty above everything else. Filthy, you swear, okay? And you're, it's your word that you will do basically whatever you've promised. And that's fealty. I mean, you don't have to be loyal, you don't have to want to do it, okay? But you have to do it because you promised. And that's the difference between knights and the other orders. Knights must swear fealty, they have no choice. The other orders may choose to swear fealty, they have a choice.
But once we've sworn fealty,
But you swear to each individual king, okay?
No,
You choose to swear to each individual king as they come up. You may choose not to swear to a king, okay? No matter whether we hate the king that's in, hate them to death, okay? It doesn't matter. We must swear fealty.
I consider the same. I swore fealty at my country, and I swore fealty to the crown. And as a consequence, I
That's
am fealty
fine,
always
Kiriel.
to every king queen. I have no choice.
Well, no, it's a choice you make.
Everybody else, this is a peerage argument that's going on.
No, it's not. It's a choice you make. You didn't have to make that choice.
Swearing to the
But
crown.
once I made that choice, I only made that choice once. I don't get to make it again. I don't get to change my mind.
Just got carried out.
If they changed the ceremony and made it a requirement, then you'd be correct. Until they change the ceremony and make it a requirement, Bruce is correct.
Bruce is correct. I'm not saying that it's not a requirement for the knights to swear fealty, and I'm not saying that it is a requirement for the other orders. What I'm saying is that once one of the orders, this is my opinion, right, personally, once one of those people who, upon taking on their order, swears fealty, at that time, they have sworn the same fealty as a knight, and it is a permanent fealty, and I am required to swear fealty to every king and queen that steps up on that throne, because I have sworn fealty to them, just as the knights do. You may say, that's you can say that, but that's not how I feel.
So
That's not the way I
she's
feel.
taken it to a more personal level.
Okay.
That's what she's done. On paper, it's not necessarily the case, but on a personal, deeply personal level, that's how she believes it.
So he's sworn fealty to the crown rather than to the king and queen.
Which means anyone, whoever's king and queen, she has loyalty to that person or
They get a
person.
choice.
Anyway, back to my definition of fealty, okay? Whether I agree or disagree with what the Crown decides, I must support them, okay? I have sworn fealty and must support them.
Do you not see?
Something Valga read in my book was, you wrote an article on fealty, and one thing you said was, fealty is, if the king is being a dick, telling the king that he is being a dick, and then standing by him no matter what he decides on.
That's right. Part of your
That's word for word.
Fealty runs both ways.
Yeah, it's two ways. Sounds like stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess sort of how far you take your fealty is another matter. I mean, if some king or prince were to ask me to do something that I thought was completely stupid, then I feel even though I sworn fealty, quite in my right to say that's completely stupid and not do it. I've sworn to support the crown, but I haven't sworn to obedience at all. So I certainly support the crown, but support doesn't necessarily mean doing everything that you're told.
That's true.
You don't have to do it in court.
If he told you to rob a convenience store, you wouldn't do that.
But in that case, your mundane recognition of the laws is overriding your feelings.
If he told me to go out and roll in the mud, I wouldn't go out and roll in the mud.
Yeah, just because you're
There you go, you see.
Why is
I have a really sticky fealty question to put to everyone here, right? At his coronation, he stands up and says, I cheated in the crown tourney, but I am going to go forward and I am going to be crowned anyway. As a knight, you have sworn fealty. As, in my case, a Papillion knight have sworn fealty to this person. They step up on the throne and are crowned, right? What do you do? Is it, do you go up and swear your fealty to them as a knight? Do you, this is a really sticky one.
But you can't have that because a king can't fight in their own crown tournament.
No, they fought in their crown tourney and they
This
won.
is-
And
this
it's
is
their
coronation.
coronation to stand up and say, by the way, 6 months ago I cheated. I cheated and won by cheating, and I'm still going to step up on the throne.
Says that before or after the draft? We've had this, I remember this question for years back.
Actually, some of the law in
I don't know, I don't have a good answer, but Bruce definitely remembers this answer too.
Alright, literally you do everything in your power before they became crowned to stop it, okay? I'd appeal to the crown that was sitting at the time before the coronation started, okay? Everything in my power to stop it. If it actually went ahead, I mean, I may not like it, but I'm not swearing to the person. I'm swearing to the crown. So yes, I have to go and swear fealty to the crown.
I've heard him might say that he wouldn't, but it's a sticky one.
You're swearing
But I
fealty
swore
to
to
the
the crown, I
office,
would.
swearing fealty to
To
the
your
office,
office,
not to the person.
That's right. This person that's about to put the crown on their head is not honouring it, and you have failed you to that crown. Right? So you have to wipe out that person.
Wait until that person steps down and then you deal with him.
But while he's up there,
Right.
he is
Okay.
You have a sum up.
My goal was, as I said, to give you a brief look at how people in the Middle Ages saw chivalry. Hopefully I've done that. But I've also tried to encourage you to put an input as to what is chivalry and the virtues that go with it. Maybe an exercise more of self-analysis than anything else, and listening to other people's point of view. I think we all gain something from that. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're running tight.
Things are. We have discussed what chivalry is, what virtue is, what these many things that we define as chivalry, as knight, but in many ways we haven't discussed why you should do these things. Entertainment is one facet of the courtly graces. This does not be within the early medieval period where knights, before they became knights, were nothing more than armed warriors that went about conquering, killing, destroying. But they reached a point, as did all of Europe, that they started to relearn civilization. And as such, those in power wished to see themselves as better than others who were in power, than more than just thugs. And those thugs started to gather about them people of ability. And they started to, you could say, in a form of largesse, to give to those who had the civilized arts. This, in a lot of ways, was brought about due to reflection on the old Roman Empire. They wanted to be what the old Roman Empire was. So once there was some stability within Europe, they tried to gather about themselves what looked to them to be civilization. Now that had changed from the old look, but they gathered about themselves people of skill. They then started to look at themselves as possibly skilled, as people of grace, of gentle arts. Now, as far as where we get the modern concepts of what is the court of graces, especially what is chivalry, right? What defines the knightly class, comes to a large degree in the 11th, 12th and 13th century. We have, in southern France, we have trouvères, okay, and they grew up out of what had become a highly civilized area within that period of time. And they started to build very beautiful things, gather about them art, and especially in the areas of entertainment. They would basically gather about themselves people of music, of learned books. They would gather many things like that. And so we grew up with the trouvères. Now the trouvères existed in, there's a quite a good SCA book for easy, troubadours, sorry. It's one of the trouvères. It's a very simple book to get in the SCA. It's one of the complete anachronists. And it tells you basically of the beginnings of that style. So beauty and learned people of gentle arts, of love. And so what they created was that the Lord in the next, whatever it be, right, kingdom, duchy, whatever, would want to have those values, to be seen as a civilized person. So they would gather about them people, or they would learn Latin, or they would do these many things, or they would start to treat their women with great honour. Now we've got to realise that for certain periods and certain cultures in the early medieval period, for example, women were pretty much considered as property for certain areas, right? Taking the next step and adding love and honour and respect into that meant that that would often change to revered objects of great love, right? So that the whole idea would change. It was a step of civilization. The trouvères and the troubadours and other bardic types would roll that along very nicely. So it had this rolling effect, snowball effect from that period. We're seeing how dreadful you were, or tell a story, or leave you out of history. If there was a great battle, you would be left out. You just wouldn't be included, right? So this is where the concept of the graces came in, that it was important. If you wanted to be famous, if you wanted to be known, if you wanted to be seen as something better than your competitor, you couldn't, it went beyond simply squashing them with your troops. We had the subtle arts of entertainment being used as a tool in civilization. This, of course, greatly helped the arts, right? But there's always a reason. The arts have never existed without a reason, right? The Renaissance, we always look at who was the patron of who, right? That could never have happened without that. So the concept that we build up the levels of civilization as God is knight, to strengthen your commons in their right. Basically looking at the common people, he must enforce the rights of the common people. Sovereign Lord, in earth most excellent, whom God hath chose our guide to be, with gifts great and evident, of martial power and also high dignity. Since it is so, therefore it is so. Now let your labour be, enforcing yourself with all your might, to strengthen your commons in their right. God hath given you of his goodness, wisdom and strength and sovereignty, all misdone things to redress, and especially hurts of thy commonality. That's, you need to understand, that's redressing the hurts of the common people, right? Which cry and call unto your majesty, in your person all their hope is put, to have recovery of their unright. Okay, so that's basically a person writing
To be a ruler about his princess. There is some art of performance to actually perform in court, even. And I think that's another part too.
All right, very well. I'll touch on that.
I agree.
Yes.
There's a fair degree of theatre there, but it's not what you call a high level of theatre. It's just enough to make a difference, a discrepancy. And sometimes it's fun to throw in.
Yep. Well, each of you who's been prince or viceroy or whatever, I've
Who
seen.
can forget vowel and little vowel?
That's right. Can't believe it. Oh dear. yes, that's, for all the people that I've ever seen become prince or prince, without a doubt, a king. He carries himself with great majesty, right? Yes, many of us, having spoken to him and many others, he can also be a real brat. There is no doubt, okay? He's a brat. But it's sort of one of his strengths. He can be, when he's a brat and a king, he's a boy king. He's a brat boy king, and it's marvellous. It has great theatre. This was, of course, the first time he came out. He was very much but it's marvellous, and that's part of the show that he does. There would be very little use in him making some great proclamation because it would carry no weight. Right? We talked about franchise earlier. That entertainment perhaps is part of that. You can carry yourself with great authority. You can make a statement which deeply reaches into people if you carry the theatre, the entertainment. How do you learn this? You do it. There is no other way. You simply do it. Stand up, tell a tale. Don't do it in a large crowd if you've never done it before. Do it at a bardic circle. Do it just in front of your own table. Do it for your own people around the campfire. Don't do it. Learn it. These are the These are the gentle arts that all of us can learn. For example, I involve myself in a little bit of storytelling. I love theatre. I love doing theatre within the SCA. Most of us. Recently, juggling has become a very big part of lockup. It just didn't exist originally, but many people have learned to juggle. That is a quality skill. It is an entertainment. Other people like to watch you juggle. There's no doubt. All right. How do you find out these things? It's very simple. You find books. Right? For example, cash. Right. Golf shot. Okay, right. All right. That is a book on medieval legends. Right? Now, it's very simple to go, it's only a coffee table book. You can easily go and get that sort of thing. Read it. Find a story. You don't have to be an expert. If you get interested, then you'll find that you'll go and find more. Okay? Find one of these little pieces, right? That the SCA publishes. Or, once you move to that sort of thing, then you start thinking, gee, that's interesting. What did they think? Who wrote these things? Why did they write it? Why did they want to write it? Why and what did King Henry write? All right, here we have music and poetry in the early Tudor court. Right? And to basically clear up, I mean, I get pretty much into the research sometimes. There's a thing called the Henry VIII manuscript. Right? It does not contain things only written by him. And a lot of people make the mistake in the SCA, especially there's half-cocked research that goes on, unfortunately. And a lot of things in here, they say it's by Henry VIII. It's not, it's in the Henry VIII manuscript. Okay? That's just me being a Laurel, actually, I'm sorry. Yes, well, yeah, like the other one, in one of the other manuscripts here is a thing called Railway Horn Hunter, which is a very nice little song about not hunting. And hunting is a rather different kind.
Don't discover till it gets to that point is that when they open their mouth, all of a sudden what they say is what their order says. I say, gee, that's an interesting colour you're wearing, and it goes to, all the pelicans say that this colour is period, you know, and stuff like that. And as a knight, as a laurel, as a pelican, you will find at times that all of a sudden, things that you would normally have just said innocuously have become gospel. And it's something that is quite a frightening thing, that all of a sudden, and you'll have your fellow members of the order say, excuse me, have you heard that we all think this? And then quite annoyed with you. So when you become a king, it's one of those sort of hidden things that we don't explain in here or anywhere else, is that you have to now be aware that everything you do and everything you say reflects upon your order, upon the whole order. Right? Now, it's like there are some, we've had knights at various times who said, oh, well, my persona is a bastard knight of the X century, and the knights at that time were total bastards. Well, they have the right to do that, but they have to remember that it's the whole of the knights that have only had that reflected upon them. And that they can do that if they like, but they still have to follow the rules. We have the laws in the corpora as to how they have to behave. And they have the right to behave how they like, as long as they behave within these rules. Otherwise, they ain't playing out that they're playing something else. When you take on a peerage, you take on a really serious responsibility. As a pelican, I'm famed for being reasonably forthright in the way I say, right? Which has its pluses because it means that people tend to believe me when I say things, because I'll say good things to them as well as bad. But on becoming a peer, I had to say, oh, I have to be a little bit more careful. I'm still not, this is one of my real failings as a peer. I'm still not very good at tact. I'm still not very good at saying, oh, perhaps you shouldn't do it quite this way. But it's one of the things that I really had to take into account. And I think that it's one of the aspects of peerage that you often don't hear about. Because you hear about the glory and you hear about these wonderful knights who are really nice, they've got their chains and wearing their belts, and they're really, really good at fighting, and they're really courteous and they're really chivalry. But you don't hear about the monks as doing this thing. So I just want to make you aware of some of those. But on to more interesting and positive things, I'm going to go through again all those things that we learned yesterday from the chivalry classes and from Tools classes and from largesse. And I want you to tell me what they are, and then I'm going to go through it. We're going to try and find people who you know that epitomise that. Now, for the knights amongst us, okay, this is going to be a huge ego head for you probably. Just general guessing.
Or blow.
But still, no, it's not low. It's me saying that I believe that the people here who put forward their knights and the knights and the people around them can inspire them in those aspects. Right? And I want them to do that. I want you to be able to find someone who can go, this is the most courteous person I've ever seen. And strive to stimulate that person. Strive to emulate their actions and their deeds. Okay? So we'll start off with courtesy. Courtesy. Okay. So who can put forward a name or two of somebody that they know that they have seen want to be a knight, and you really want to be a knight, and you want to be all the things that a perfect knight can be, which we probably all know is it's not possible to be a perfect peer. It's not possible to be perfect. But you can try and read this, memorize it, whatever. But find the things that you feel that you lack in, or that other people have pointed out that you lack in. And look at those people, and watch those people, and imitate those people, right? And ask those people. All of them, I think, that we put up here, will be happy to share what they know with you.
Just a quick question. Should you strive for the actual position? That's what it sounds like, what it's coming across.
I don't think there's any problem
should you
with
strive for each of those fundamental qualities?
I think you should do both. I can maybe a bit of variety in some areas in this, but I believe there is nothing wrong with striving to be a peer. There is nothing wrong with saying, I want to be a knight. Right? There is nothing wrong with saying, I want to be a laurel. There might be something wrong with your head if you want to be a pelican. But you know, there is nothing wrong with having it there.
That one.
Right?
Last night, so it's why you strive.
That's right. But you should not just say, I want to be a knight because you want the title. You should say, I want to be a knight because I want to embody all these things. And I want to be a knight, and a knight who is all these things. It's not just enough to say, I want to be a knight, because that won't work, because you have to be these things to be a knight. And it won't just work to say, I want to be these things, unless you actually have something to direct you. And all you will be is someone that people really admire, and you will not be a knight. Especially if you don't do the kind of West thing. It's just a hint. It's not going to be nice, it's not going to come unless you do that. Okay? So, but as I said, ask these people, say to them, you know, and it's not a bad thing to say to them, look, I consider you to be one of the most courteous people I've ever seen. How do you manage to keep your patience when people are being pains in the butt? Right? Now, it's one of those odd things that when people get a peerage, often that's the last bit of recognition they get. Right? That's it. Everything they do from then on is they've done it because they are a peer. Right? They don't win prizes in competitions anymore because, oh, well, they've got the prize, they've got their peerage. You know? They don't get the acknowledgement. They don't get people just coming up and saying, wow, really well done, you killed such and such. Because they're not, they're supposed to be able to kill such and such.
I don't agree. Yeah, you do.
Sorry?
Yeah, you do.
You do what?
You still get the accolades of being a knight. I can't speak for the other peerages, okay?
But isn't it
They go, really well done, you won that tournament, or really well done, you killed Jade, or whatever. I mean, no, I don't agree with you at all.
Well, maybe,
It comes down to the fact
maybe I
that-
should work at being a knight then. Because certainly I've seen with the Laurels, and I've seen with the Pelicans, is that people 5 years down the track after they've been a Laurel, for 5 years they're producing new and exciting work. They are not getting any more recognition for it because they are well, they're wrong, they're supposed to be doing that. But this isn't what they got their Laurel for, I think that really does happen, and I know it does. Because, for example, Mistress Madeline de Begonia, she won a tourney. I did a surprise prize where the best period out setting, place setting, won a prize, and nobody knew what was happening, right? And she got the prize, and it was the first time she'd actually ever got anything since her peerage, and her peerage was a good 6-7 years.
And around 10 on years.
Well, no, not before she got this prize. Right. But it was like 6 years since she had gotten anything in the way of accolade, thanks, in that sort of sense. Maybe the knights are lucky in that way, because they're constantly proving themselves in the field. Bruce?
Should you be doing it for that reason?
No, definitely not. But as a person complimenting another person, in some ways I suppose you should be doing it for that reason. Why else do you walk up to somebody and say, "My Lord, what marvellous garb you're wearing"? Do you say it because you feel like, well, I'm so great because I can recognise good garb? No. You say it so that that person is aware of the fact that they've done something right, and so that they get the thanks, and so that they will be encouraged to continue doing that thing right.
Everyone likes a step of recognition every now and then.
Yeah, and it won't hurt to say to these people, "Look, I really admire your chivalry. Look, I really admire your courtesy." It's not going to take any skin off your nose. And it's showing
As an aside of that, one of the things that Dory and I feel is very important as being Baron and Baroness is to recognise the efforts of your people. Now you can't just go along willy-nilly putting up awards all the time, because people, take Woolsey. Woolsey just got a lot of Baronian awards, right? So he does a really good job at the festival and he's a really good marshal. You go, that was really good, Woolsey. Festival ran excellently. It wouldn't run anywhere near as well if you hadn't been in charge of it. Now that doesn't cost me anything. Makes Woolsey feel good, makes me feel good, right? One of the things that I find is lacking is that society concentrates on awards a little bit too much. There's a little bit less personal recognition, especially once you get to be a peer. The Knights pick it up all the time. You go and win a tournament, then you're going to have a lot of focus, individual attention, but it's harder for the Laurels, it's harder for the Pelicans, but not everybody is at a Laurel and a Pelican, and you can't just say, okay, that person does a lot of really good work, but it's not Laurel status. Oh, no point in giving them whatever it is, rose leaf, whatever, if they've already got one. But no reason why you can't write them a letter and say that, really good stuff. Nothing like having a little letter or a card or a bunch of flowers or... A lot of personal thanks is very good, just saying thank you to people.
I agree with you. Now, at Festival just got this year, I was the site constable. And the best thing that has ever happened to me in the SCA happened to me at Festival. This lady who was a fairly new, I think it was her second or third event, came up to me and said, "Thank you." And it just felt so good.
Simple things, just thanking someone and just and telling someone that they are these things means that they think, "Oh, you mean I'm doing it right?" Because I can always guarantee you that they will not consider themselves to be the epitome of that thing. I can almost guarantee you that Llewyn does not consider himself to be the epitome of franchise. Well, actually, he might. I don't know. He's not enough franchise, he might. Right? But I can guarantee you that Alan does not consider himself the most courteous person around. I can guarantee you that Gareth does not consider himself the most chivalrous person around. And to be told that they're on the right track, because they probably won't ever believe that they're really doing it. But just to be told, you're really, I think you're really chivalrous, means that they go, "Oh, well, I'm a bit my goal of actually being chivalrous. So, but these are the reason why I did this was for you so that you can find people to emulate. Right? Now, some of the you won't know some of these people, but you might see them at festival, and now you know their names. Now you know why you should be looking at them. You can go, this person. Let me just watch him for a bit. Oh, I see him. Maybe I should try that. That could work. Right? And so.
Squire's following around the
That's right. Isn't that the role of the squires? To constantly try and learn and try and get information from everybody. Right? Chase the information you want, chase the goals that you want. There is an awful lot more to being a peer than it seems on the surface. But there's also lessons on those. Being given a peerage in some ways is the nicest thing that happens to you. All of a sudden, all these people who over the years have been watching you and seeing what you're doing, seeing what your fighting is like, seeing what your entertainment or your art is like, you know, your beautiful costuming and just perfect grace or whatever, seeing that, and they've all written in, or at least a good number of them have written in to someone and said, hey guys, have you thought about looking at this person? And then what happens, a whole pile of people who are theoretically experts in the field, and a whole pile of people who are, well, there's no such thing as a true expert, let's face it. A whole pile of people who are well respected throughout the kingdom sit down and say, you know, this person is as good on us in some way. Sometimes they may be right. This person is my peer. And you stand on a kind of populace and you are announced to be a peer of the kingdom, a peer of the SCA. From that moment onwards, wherever you go, you have that title. Wherever you go, your peerage is recognised. And people know that you have achieved something and that you are respected. At least by the group of peers that recommended you. That's a pretty amazing thing. And it's certainly something to strive for. But it's more valuable to just to have worked till you got to the level of a peer. It's not, the important thing is not to be a peer. The important thing is to be at the level of a peer. If you never get that little award, or that piglet dangling, or that belt, those spurs, right? If you never get those, that's not what's important. What's important is that you have done your best, that you have strived, and that you have made yourself the best person you can, and that you have done your best to be the best at what you do. And when you can sort of say, yeah, I'm that good, and I really am. And when your friend, when they turn around and say, yes, we agree, you know, that's what becoming a peer is about, you know. And there probably have times when you'll go, I think I'm that good. How come they haven't given me one yet? You know, I think I've worked for long enough. How come they haven't given me my company? I think I've done it, you know, long enough. How come I haven't got my right yet? Well, because you're still not ready. You know, just the fact that you're going, well, they haven't given it to me yet, they should have given it to me, and getting upset about it, is proof that you're just not quite ready.
But you missed one of these. That proves that you haven't got some of these points. The fact that you say that proves that you haven't got some of these points.
No one says you have to have humility. Humility's not up there, right?
Well, maybe it should be.
That's humility.
Yes, it is, but life is also a form of largesse.
Humility is also a form of franchise, I see.
Part of franchise,
But not largesse.
but a person with lots of franchises is humble. It can't be.
I don't think you have, I don't think
Being
you have
humble
to be
is
as
being
far as being
self-based.
humble. I don't think you have to be as far as being humble, but you have to be farther than I'm God's gift to mankind.
Humility.
Humbleness is a virtue that's prized in this century. It wasn't prized then.
These peerages will be given in this century, not then.
Because also, if you combine largesse and courtesy, you can come up with the answer. You're not giving the rest of society the courtesy of its own right to decide whether you are at that level, right? You're not giving a lot largesse. You're not noble and generous enough to be able to give those rights, to allow those rights, to give the other person the room to be able to decide if you are ready or not. Right? You're not giving them the headspace, the whatever, the headroom to be able to play. Also, I'm doing just drinking here, right? So you combine some of those things, you end up with, if a person says that, they are missing some of those components.
Can I ask a question of my Llewyn? What did the peers in this room say when the servant letter said, we want to give you this peerage?
It took me 6 weeks to say yes. It took me 6 weeks of going, am I actually good enough to be counted among these people as peer? It took me 6 weeks thinking about it, and it was 6 weeks saying, okay, I've worked for like 10 years, and I've been a founder of a group, and I've been a principality officer, and I've audited 5 principality events, and I've held, 6 local offices, and I've moved to other cities and worked in other cities, right? I've been given the Royal Service Award for Anyana. I received my little dairy in Riverhaven, right? But am I good enough? It took me 6 weeks to be able to say, well, yeah, I think it's okay. These people believe that I'm good enough, and these people, I have people who I have faith in, and I think that I've worked hard enough to deserve my reward. And I still have some work to do on the other aspects of peerage. But yeah, I think I'm good enough that I am willing to represent my order and to member of the House. That was me.
I had a special one. I discovered while I was in intensive care. So good. Now, I don't know how somebody ended up telling my sister Jane, but she ended up telling my father, I think, or someone called the boy, who told me. And I thought, that's very nice. It'd be really nice to take a cannula out of my arm and give me a comfortable pillow, and sleeping under bright fluorescent lights all night is a bitch.
Let's say you're in a rather special headspace then.
And the name would be good. Okay, so I had lots of notice. And yet, yeah, that's interesting because I've actually thought about it at the time. I thought it would have been a real quandary in terms of, yeah, I've just come out of intensive care and I've just lost 1.5 stone.
I never fight again.
And I might never fight again, and I've got a heart problem, and this, and they're going to make me a nice. And I thought, well, then the interesting thing is, you look at
fortune cookies, and every fortune cookie has one of the aspects of peerage on it, in it. And what I want you to do is just take one if you want. You don't have to take one. And if you want, again, perhaps take that to heart and think about that particular aspect. And think about maybe taking it on in your life as a good person in life. Just to make you think of things. Okay? Well, to go through these one more time, these are just people who amongst you you have seen as the epitome of these qualities. Of franchise, we have Master Llewyn, Master Charles of the Park, Sir Gregory of Loch Swan, Alan Greylane, Sir Kane Greylane, Cornelius von Beck. For hospitality, we've written everyone, and especially Morgan Bale, who were kind enough to host us this weekend. And for courtesy, we've got Alan Greylane again, and Gareth of Greymarsh, Sir Gareth of Greymarsh. And Morwenna, Viscount Morwenna, okay, and Lars Larson. All of whom I think are very much included in courtesy. Chivalry, we have Sir Gareth, and I suppose it's Count Benjamin. And loyalty, we have Sir Prissy and Valerian, Sir Valerian, and Lenore. In pity, which you should take into account as compassion, as Phillipa, Jennifer Francesca de Cruciano, and Alfar Roman. For largesse, and that we really were looking at extension of your time and efforts and kindness in that sort of direction. We have Mistress Rowan, we have Baron Stephen, Aldred of Rockley, we have Sir Ragnar Ragnarsson. For Valour, this one, well, we can just put all the knights. I think for that one as well, but we have Baron Valen, Eric Ruffin, and Master Bruce on a largesse, and Baron also for largesse. For prowess, again, we have all the knights. Let's face it, not much moving about over all of us. Take after that is. For honour, we have Eric Ruffin, Corin, and Torm. And Llewyn, who we agreed had got in trouble with this before. And for entertainment, we specifically looked at the knights. sides, right? Just so that you know that no matter what your area is, if you're just into fighting unit, you can extend yourself a bit further and round yourself out in yesterday. Aggro, Elfin, Tor, Gregory, can't read my own writing there, Cornelius and Valerian. And these are some of the people and some of the qualities that I think everyone, including the peers, do well to aspire. Thanks. With the groups.
Okay. Mistress.
Master households have a goal?
I suppose not, but households that I've been associated with that haven't had a goal have tended to diffuse within about an 18-month lifespan.
Mine had the goal of getting drunk.
So that's not really a goal as a pastime.
And I'm sure that we will all be happy to go and visit spine palliative care units while they're dying of cirrhosis of the liver. That was their goal. Okay. It just gives an extra thing for people to work towards and keep together a unifying point. That's
I
it.
personally don't think you need a goal to have a household. Descartes clearly doesn't.
Doesn't it? Well, isn't its goal to
I
have fun
thought
fighting and
Descartes' goal was get together and beat the crap out of everyone else. No?
Our goal is to have a good time.
What's a goal?
It's a
That's
goal.
not really a goal, is it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
No, it's
I
not.
think
I don't consider it a goal.
I think it is.
SCA's goal?
But I mean, it's a goal for you people.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't treat it as a goal. I mean, there are people I get on with,
Yeah.
and we just hang out together, okay?
Yeah.
We have no specific goal.
Mm.
I mean, we
Don't do project.
not really.
Oh, well, you were
Only
going
when we get told to,
Yeah.
by Baron, wherever he is.
Dave had project.
But going out in the same colours is a project. You all go out looking, you all go out in the same colours. That's a project. Putting your wall paint on, that's a project.
That's just so we don't hit each other.
Recognition of the other
Rags was talked earlier.
recognition of the other members can be a goal.
This is not a thing.
Yeah, carry on.
My advice was on the pitfall.
Oh, yes, pitfalls, carry on, it's very
No,
good.
I'm very good because I've been in many households, in fact, and started a few, and so, warning, one, if you are going to be the head of the household, a household, be very aware of what you're getting yourself into, right? Households can explode on you, they can turn into, I was the head of a household, and I looked around and there were 144 members, and I went, excuse me, I don't even know who you are. And they can explode on you. You all of a sudden become, if you're going to do a household with you as a head, right, this is one form of household, then you end up being responsible. You end up with everyone, if something goes